Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is our AI and ML expert, driving innovation from concept to reality, software engineer at Meta, no other than Shivang Doshi.
Hey, hi, Daniel. Thanks for having me on your podcast today.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Shivang. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Sure. My name is Shivang. I've been working in the tech industry for 10 years now. I was previously working at Amazon, worked on various different services over there, and very recently joined Meta. And so it's been an interesting tech journey. There are like a lot of interesting stuff going on in tech world right now. And so really excited to be part of that.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Shivang Doshi. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And let's talk about your recommended book, The
Yes.
Hard Thing About Hard Things. And uh thinking fast and slow.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. So can you tell us about these books?
Yeah, sure. So let's talk about the hard things first. It's a book by Ben Horowitz. For people who might not know him, although he's very famous, he is one of the partners at A16Z, which is a venture capitalist firm in Silicon Valley, and he's also founded companies in the past. This book is like a no-nonsense story about building startups. He was a CEO of a company, and without being preachy, he's just describing his journey in building a company, all the good things that happened, but he focusing on the hard things that he had to face during his tenure as a CEO of that company. There's like he's not giving out lectures or lessons, but he's mostly describing the situations he found himself into, uh, and then sharing what he did. Maybe sometimes sharing whether he, in retrospect, whether it was the right thing to do, whether it had some other implications. So it's like his journey, but sharing so many interesting anecdotes along the way. So that's why it makes it a fun read.
Indeed, fun to read. Horowitz emphasizes making decisions with only 40% to 70% of the information. How does Kahneman concept of initiative system one thinking both help and potentially hinder leaders facing these high stakes?
Perfect. That's actually a very good way to combine these two books. So the other book, Thinking Fast and Slow, is from Daniel Kahneman, right? And he introduces two different concepts, System One and System Two, of how you think or how anyone thinks, right? And so System One is quick, is fast. It takes less amount of input and reacts. So, but system two is more slow in how you think about it. You take time to think, to time to make, like time to take decisions. And so I think we can, like you put it, we can combine the system one thinking to what Ben is also proposing, which is like sometimes you don't have all the facts laid out, but you have to take a decision quickly. So you take some facts in, you make the decision and course correct as you go forward.
Correct as you go, people. And which cognitive biases outlined by Kahneman, like overconfidence, loss aversion, and planning fallacy, do you see as most dangerous for CEOs navigating the brutal realities of Horowitz describes?
Right. I think there are a bunch of biases that, as leaders, you need to be, anyone needs to be aware of. Like biases uh, kind of force us to think, uh, take shortcuts, which might not be needed. I think one of the most important bias to be aware of as a leader is overconfidence. Uh, in that way, like you're thinking, oh, maybe whatever I have, you're not uh, double checking that information. When you're at a leader position, uh, there might be some signals that you're not aware of, and it might be better to get those inputs. I think that is one of the biases or one of the things to be aware of from a tech leader point of view.
Very well said, Mr. Shivang. Very well said. Horowitz talks about the loneliness and pressure. How can leaders consciously engage Kahneman's deliberate system to thinking when they are emotionally drained and facing constant firefighting?
Right. That's a yeah. That's a so I think from leadership standpoint, uh, it might be a good thing to form communities around you. I think that's one of the things that Ben recommends in his book as well, to form community of like-minded people, like reach out if needed. There are multiple examples in which he talks about Mark Zuckerberg reaching out to Steve Jobs for advice, because both of them were at a position where no one else has been in the history of industry. And so even though they are completely different companies, they are not working together. Still, there is this reach out that happens from one CEO to other. So I think those are good recommendations. Of course, like that is the level at which they are is very different from typical tech leaders who are like either managers or managing a team. So those are like two different levels, but I think the takeaways apply to anyone.
Mr. Shivang, in Wartime by Horowitz, survival becomes the anchor. How
Yes,
does this intense focus potentially distort other judgments like talent, evaluation, or long term strategy through Kahneman's lens of anchoring bias?
right. I think again in case of Ben, like he talks about in wartime, the mental model shifts completely. Right? You won't be able to stick around for processes and procedures don't apply at that point because you are in a survival mode. I think Ben shares examples where I think the stock price of their company went terribly down, I think to cents or dollars. And so he shares those examples, and I guess what it gives us as a reader is we are not suffering alone. If we are in a point where we are suffering, we are not alone. Others before us have gone through uh, a different situation, maybe worse situation than where we are right now. And so kind of gives you uh, reassurance that even though it's tough right now, things improve. Others have gone through it. And so eventually it will be better for us. But we just need to be head down, working on it, working towards our goals.
Hard work, people, towards our
Yes.
goals. Very well said again, Mr. Chivang. Very well said. Kahneman discusses our tendency to overestimate control. Horowitz details countless uncontrollable crises. How does accepting Kahneman's insight about illusions of control help a leader cope with and manage through the chaos Horowitz portrays?
Uh, it's a good way to connect both of them. I think what I took from Ben's book is during hard situations or in situations which are very tough. Uh, there is a lot of time that goes into accepting these hard situations, making it even worse for you. Like you're stuck in a loop where you're thinking, oh, like I should not have been in this situation. So again, just taking away from the book, what his suggestion is to like accept it as quickly as possible, because then your mode of operation changes. You are now not focused on why it happened, but you are more focused on how do I get out of this? How do what do I do next to get out of this? So I think that is one of the most important things that I took away from that.
One important thing. Yes, indeed. Entrepreneurs craft stories for narratives for Kahneman, warms of the narrative fallacy. How does this tension play out when, as Horowitz advises, a leader must take a painful that shatters the original company story?
So I think narratives is something all leaders need to form in order to rally the folks behind it. That's described both in both the books. Both books talk about leaders having a clear vision of what needs to be done. Uh, Kahneman takes it ahead and shares it as a policy also. Sometimes we get stuck into those narratives. Sometimes we are bound by those narratives. I guess if you take both books together, the takeaway for me is like, yes, we have to form narratives. Like one of the prime example of a very huge narrative is Elon Musk saying, uh, "We will go to Mars." In order to build his SpaceX company. So it's a very big narrative, but it rallies everyone behind. So even if they're not reaching to Mars per se, uh, it has helped rally everyone behind them to build SpaceX. So I think that's a prime example of building a narrative so that you can rally everyone behind you. But again, like you have to be flexible about it. For example, I don't think Elon Musk is going to say, "Hey, like, if we don't reach Mars, we are going to fail." He's built a very successful company called SpaceX, so he might be open to adjusting the narrative per se. So,
Indeed. Speaking of Elon Musk, please do listen or read of his autobiography by Walter Isaacson. It's something else to understand what is really on Elon Musk. Kahneman's prospect theory shows we fear losses more than the value gains. How does this manifest in these incredibly difficult decisions? Horowitz highlights like layoff or killing products. How can leader overcome these bias for the greater good?
I think if you read Ben's book, and he has a chapter, a specific section where he talks about layoffs. Uh, and incredibly, like he's also detailing incidences or anecdotes where he had to let go uh, friends to some extent. And so uh, while he's not preaching how he, like he's not describing how he overcome his bias and how he made sure to not prefer his friends over someone else. Uh, the anecdote tells us that like to be a good leader in a company, you have to essentially overcome that. Like if he was able to let go of friends, demote friends when needed because they were not performing, I think it's a good takeaway, right? It tells you that this as a leader you have to take those hard decisions. Everything is in service of the product you are building, the company you are building, and the relations you have built, if they're not working for towards that vision, then it's better to not get stuck. So I think that's while he's not given how he did it, what he thought about that, but he does share that he has done those and overcome his biases. So I think that's important.
Mr. Shivang, as AIML expert, driving innovation from concept to reality and software engineer, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Uh, so my short-term goals are I'm currently working at Meta on couple of projects. I see myself growing into more of a leader role over the long term. I hope to build a company for myself as well. Right now, tech is the most exciting field to be in. As you can see, innovations left and right, and so I'm very excited about it. One actually fun anecdote. I got a chance to meet Ben Horowitz, who is the author of Things About Hard Things, and I did share with him. I was like, "Hey, like I'm not a CEO. I was at that point not a manager. Just started my career, but reading this book helped me a lot grow into a leader role, and so he was very warm about it. He was very happy to find that even though the target audience was CEOs and entrepreneurs, the book was actually helpful for others in the field as well. So,
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Shivang, and hoping for more success.
yes,
And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
uh, sure. I think one piece of advice or one thing that helps me a lot is to embrace ambiguity. I feel like even though you've learned a lot, there's always lots to learn. There are a lot of projects or a lot of fields that might feel ambiguous, but if you learn to embrace that uh, and then work towards that instead of uh, like being afraid of that, I think that helps you move on in your career, grow in your career very significantly, very quickly. Part of that embracing ambiguity requires you to learn more, sometimes practically, sometimes theoretically. But I think that's the only piece of it.
Indeed. Good luck and thank you for your advice, Mr. Shivang. How can leaders foster a culture that values deliberate system to thinking?
I think one of these things I learned at Amazon, which I think more companies should apply, is they have a culture of writing documents, like putting your thoughts down instead of doing presentations. That forces you to think a lot about the system you are building, uh, what is going to be the implication of that. And so I feel uh, that kind of culture, which forces you more focused, thinking about things, yeah, can help with the system to thinking, as Daniel Kahneman also lists down in his book.
Mr. Shivang, if you had to give an entrepreneur one key insight from Kahneman to better prepare for hard things, Horowitz details, that would it be?
Right. Uh, I think it's very situational to be very honest. I don't think I would be able to pick out one specific thing that applies, but I would suggest keeping Daniel Kahneman's book. Don't read it once and be done with it. Keep it as a workbook with you. Refer to it frequently. I think that's probably more important because it's a 600-page long book, so it's not easy, and I don't think you can keep all of that in your mind. Uh, but having it as a workbook and like in various situations, going back and referring to it is probably going to help to be more helpful.
Indeed, it will help you a lot. People
Yes.
memorize that and B, materialize it. And Kahneman focuses on individual or systemic cognition. Horowitz focuses on visceral leadership challenges. Is there a core dimension of the hard things?
Uh, Probably yes. Yeah. I think that's what Ben kind of wants to share as well with his anecdotes in the book. Yeah, I think I answered your question, but yeah.
How do the cognitive pitfalls of Kahneman describes become amplified or changed in the nature for the leadership team?
I think the impact of leaders' bias is not, it doesn't apply just to themselves. It applies broadly, it applies to a lot more people. Uh, so, like, more higher up the chain you are, more impact, more number of people, more magnitude of it applies to the product in general. And so it's very important to check on that. One of the things that Ben highlights is, uh, especially in a wartime scenario, no single individual should be holding your progress. There might be a situation where uh, some manager who is responsible only for one part of the project, not the whole project, but that one is a critical one and they are not empowered to take decisions or move fast, might break the entire company. And so it's important. I think his point being, even an individual or a single leader can become a point of failure for your company. And applying like what Daniel Kahneman says like uh, even those biases can then amplify. Maybe they think they can't move that fast. Maybe there are some other biases that's blocking them from innovating. That could become a pitfall for you.
Very well said, Mr. Shivang. Very well said. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and book 101 review in fifth season as well. Comedy 101 in second season, and of course my food 101 in fifth season too, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast. Mental Health 101 and Law 101, and my movie 101 review in fourth season, as well as my music 101 and science 101 and sex 101 is in first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Having internalized both books, Mr. Shivang, how has your understanding of leadership itself evolved? Do Kahneman's cognitive limitations make Horowitz's leadership feats seem more impressive or provide a roadmap for navigating them?
I think it does make things that Ben did more impressive. I think for me, as I'm still growing in my career, having these books by my side, being able to refer to them, we understand like what are the learnings from all the experiments or studies that Daniel Kahneman has done, provides a good starting point for when you think about things. So yeah, I think those have been very helpful and influential in my career.
Mr. Shivang Doshi, thank you so much for recommending your influence books to your journey and hoping for more success to your career. So, can you please invite our listeners to support whatever advocacy you want to tell them?
Yeah, thank you so much, Daniel, for having me today. It was fun to you, and I really like how you put both the books together. I really appreciate you having me here. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, also, Mr. Chivang, for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Hoping for more success. And can you please come back and let's talk about this after 5 years? I hope you will create a book that we're gonna talk about.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, more to come, people. See you soon.